Welcome back to Anime Savants, everyone. This week I am Cure Spicy.
Oh damn, you got a good one. What am I this week? What is what has moved me the strongest? I guess it's probably I'm Lopobia Traumare. That man is,
oh my god, okay.
Sickening. That man's sickening right there.
Now I'm gonna have problems at work tomorrow because I'm just gonna be like, well shit, I could do something, or I could catch up on Tower of God.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's something to look forward to. Anyways, let's go ahead and hop into the first and, well, not the only thing, but the thing that we're watching together currently right now, which is Spy X Family. Great episode. I would say it wasn't as wholesome, or it wasn't as like engaging to me as the previous ones, because I think I'm more so interested in everything that surrounds Anya as opposed to like Lloyd and them, like the kid shit, like the little skit at the beginning of the episode where she was just like completely fucking wrong. I was like, perfect, great. And then we like don't see anything else of like the kids or school life from there on. And so I'm wondering if like that's on purpose, because like there's only so much they can do before they're literally like, all right, we've ran the school shit into the ground, like we have to space it out. Or is it kind of just like we're focusing on Yuri for the arc and Yuri's gonna have an arc, etc., etc. But the main thing for me was just that like Yor forgot to tell him, and that they live in a completely different world from everyone else. He and his sister live in a completely different world. He will believe whatever she says. She will believe whatever he says. And like Lloyd is just there like, what the fuck are y'all? What is this? Like, how are y'all? Okay, whatever. Like, it is what it is. Yuri's a mess. I had a feeling, I had a feeling last episode, because the way that he was dressed when Homeboy was talking to him, I was like, he looks kind of like espionage-y. And he is. Also, he has a gap where he's like, you know, super nice, chill, and then he turns into like evil blood eye person. So I think there's another plot line maybe with like, who the fuck got these two siblings into the shit that they're into? Like, because it wasn't their parents, because they said that they were poor as hell. So it's kind of just like somebody's got to be like, hey, we got the sister, you got the brother. They're just like pawns for the country or some shit like that. But I don't know. Yeah. I enjoyed it. I thought it was cute how he was determined to hate this shit. And I knew as soon as he ate that food, I was like, you're going to change your mind. But he didn't completely. He was like, all right, this food is fucking good, but I still hate you, bitch. I was like, okay, yeah. That's realistic. That's very much so realistic when it's someone you don't want to like. You're like, all right, I'm going to eat this shit and it is good, but I'm not going to tell you. Like, okay, fine. So that, and also I feel like Yor is so nervous because it's her first kiss. I feel like that's her first kiss. I think it is.
It pretty obviously is. So
yeah.
If you the plot of the episode, you said, begins with a brief sort of update on Anya's academic performance, which is mostly there to facilitate a little info dump as Lloyd is talking to his handler, and he's sort of freaking out over the success of the possible success of the mission, given that it's clear Anya is not learning quickly. And that then segues to what I thought was a great scene, though it's probably going to pay off later, where Lloyd realizes that Anya has a different learning model, which is, you know, because she doesn't get it when, you know, they try to teach her fractions in the last episode. Then this episode, when she had a practical problem that was based on a scenario in her cartoon, she could suddenly figure out fractions very easily. And so Lloyd kind of has an aha moment. It's like, oh wait, she learns things better when it's, you know, structured in a way around her interest, then she can visualize it. So I have a feeling that's going to come back later, where it's like the subversion of the joke is that, you know, Anya misrepresented her age as being older than it was, and also misrepresented her intelligence relative to just like, you know, general learning by cheating using her ESP powers. But the solution to some future academic problem is actually going to be switching up her learning style, or maybe she does very well, you know, like, therefore, because, you know, he's freaking out now, like, oh, she's never going to be able to do things academically, but that looks like it's the way out. But that's not the subject of the episode. We find out, as you mentioned, that Yuri is going to come by to visit, Yuri being Yor's brother. And we know a little bit about him prior when Yor is talking about how she raised him. And then we had a couple of small scenes in the last couple episodes where we see that he's a civil servant. Well, this episode we find out, in fact, it's more to it than that. He's a part of the he's counterintelligence, part of the national security agency of that country that is sort of battling directly with Y. So he's literally the arch enemy of Lloyd. And
it's going for Lloyd, looking for him.
Yeah, and is obsessed with finding him, and you know that is his enemy, but doesn't realize that Lloyd is actually shacking up with his sister, and so that sets up the confrontation between the two. But rather than it be spy versus spy, it's actually Siscon versus the guy who's
a Siscon. Okay,
yeah, he's a total Siscon. It's a Siscon versus the guy who's married and laying up with his sister, which creates almost the exact same tension as spy versus spy. And one of the things I appreciated in this setup is that normally when you've got people who are hiding their identities in this series, only Anya is aware.
And Anya's asleep.
Right. So Anya is out of the picture. She knocks out before Yuri can show up, and he's late because he was torturing a guy too aggressively because he was so fired up about the situation with his sister. And so he gets there, and his little carefully laid plans to expose Lloyd as some kind of like bad dude kind of hits the wall the moment he takes a single drink. And at that point, all odds are off. So we've established that the Breyer family just can't handle alcohol at all, because Yor turns into a fucking killing machine, and Yuri basically loses all of his spy training and just becomes obsessed with things related to his sister. So I thought
that was cute though. It was a nice little like quib where Lloyd was like, "You're not drinking tonight," like Yor. It's like, oh wow, look at that, like you remembered things.
Yes, he learned a valuable lesson because he fought her in demon mode. He was like, I don't know if I can fucking do it. So that then triggers the confrontation over, I guess, dinner, hors d'oeuvres, whatever, where Yuri is trying to see through what he thinks is a facade of their, the good intentions of Lloyd and the relationship, which then turns into what the cliffhanger was, which is him challenging challenging both of them to do some PDA because he noticed that they were being a little physically awkward with each other, which sets up, what is obviously going on, which is Yor is getting more and more into Lloyd. And to some degree, the same is true for Lloyd, but certainly not. It's not as upfront and immediate for him.
Yeah, it's gonna take maybe like something else to like jolt him, or he's gonna look at it in retrospect and be like, "Wait a second, I'm thinking about her in this way, in that way, in this way, in that way. Am I?" I feel like that's probably what's gonna happen with him.
What's funny is that, with the exception of Lloyd, every other character, as they interact with each other in this series, as over the top as they are deep. They are expressing some real world, real life, deep passion for the other characters that they're around, or the thing that they're interested in. Like Yuri, of course, is a spy, but he's like super into his sister, and obviously over the top kind of ways. But everything he does, like he kind of says, like, "Ah, shit, I kind of lost the plot on my professionalism." Like I'm showing my real expressions, like when Yor catches him scowling at Lloyd, like right when they come in, like he's like, fuck, like I can't control myself, because he's deeply passionate about Yor in fair and foul ways, it seems. Like I call him a Siscon because that's what his character type is, but it's not like he's trying to fuck his sister. He's just obsessed with her.
That's why I was kind of hesitant to call him one, because I was like, sometimes they be like pushing it a little too far.
Yeah, it's not incesty. I mean, he kind of explains his reasoning, which makes a lot of sense. It's just over the top, right? Because he isn't so grateful. He believes that his sister was working herself literally to the bone, doing dangerous things
for his education,
which is literally true. But his idea of what those dangerous things are probably leaned more towards like, really shitty jobs that put her at a lot of like physical risk, and so because he believes everything she says, he doesn't connect that with her real line of work, which is assassinations. He connects it with like just some kind of abusive type working class jobs, and his obsession with not only her but also paying her back and giving her a good life and all that other stuff is what drives him to be both very good at his job but also have no objectivity when it comes to what her life is. And so that scene that got a good laugh out of me, which is when the siblings were basically Yuri asked Yor, why the hell didn't you tell me you were married for a year? And Lloyd was like, here I suggested telling him the truth. And then she was like, no, I'll handle this. And her way of handling it was like, I forgot.
Yeah.
He's like, but wait, how come you didn't mention on the phone? I forgot that I forgot. And then he just bought it.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So I think that Anya is very passionate about being in a family, right? That's what she wants more than anything. And she knows who all the people are, but she wants to go along with it because it's everything she ever really wanted. Lloyd is passionate, but he's passionate about the mission. But being passionate about the mission means that he has to do all the things that like a good partner, a good father, a good, whatever kind of person would do. And he's doing it earnestly, reading all those books and trying to figure out how to teach Anya to, do math. And like, that's all, it's not cynical, even though it should be. You're super passionate about and really grateful to Lloyd for, in her view, taking her into his family without any kind of like criticism of her for what she does. And so that's why both she wants to hide her real life's work, but also wants to stay in this family, strongly. All that, and Yuri is passionate because he's into it. So the point is that like when you have these moments, normally Anya's the one who knows. She knows, what everyone's real motivations are and plays along. But this time, since Anya's gone, Lloyd is the one who figures out that Yuri is secret police. But rather than like, oh, I gotta bail or oh, I gotta kill this guy, his reasoning is if I can
use him.
Exactly. And Yuri has no idea who Lloyd is. So it's a perfect inversion of what Anya's usual role is as the person who knows everything, but nobody knows that she knows. Now Lloyd gets to do that with Yuri.
And
so
I'm pretty
cool.
positive Anya's gonna come into it eventually, and basically,
of course,
it's just she's gonna throw it into fucking chaos by saying something weird. So
yeah, and I think that's a big possibility. And another possibility is that she gets a kick out of it, right? Because this is just like her cartoon, and so it's possible that much as you sort of suggest, she says things or does things that like make it that in another context, if Yuri caught it or Lloyd caught it, that they'd be like, oh, they might figure something out. But since it's probably going to be couched in the storylines and ideas from the cartoon that she watches, which is about spies, they're going to write it off as, oh, it's just a kid who's really eccentric and into this TV show.
Yeah.
Right. So that is my guess. And it's funny because Lloyd and Anya actually are the ones who are the most on the level, right? Because Lloyd doesn't know that Anya knows what he's thinking, but it's pretty clear that like she knows that this isn't a real family because he told her in day one, like, you're gonna have to pretend like you've been my daughter for a long time. She's just down with it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I got this. Don't worry about it. So, yeah, I enjoyed this episode a lot, and it was a lot of exposition in the beginning, but I think it was good to create another antagonist sort of in Yuri. I don't think he'll stay as an antagonist. I think they'll find a way to work him into the story as like a useful thing, especially if like, I don't know, they need some help with the school, right? Him pretending to be a member of a ranking member in the regular government would be useful, and then he can use his connections in the NSA probably to like he's thinking I'm just helping my sister, but it's actually for this other mission. So I think that sets up a lot. I enjoyed it.
Okay. What else did you watch this week?
I watched a couple more shows. Otome Game episode 9, I believe, and also I'm Quitting Heroing. Both shows impressed me more and more and more every week. Maybe not from like a strict writing sense, like it's not like there were these amazingly well written lines or anything else like that, but they are building up their characters and then repurposing ideas that have been introduced in one way earlier in arcs or in the season, but now showing them from a different angle, which to me, it literally is adding a lot of dimensions to both characters and setting that are done without a lot of exposition. Like I don't know if we what was the show from last year, the isekai with the kid who was reborn. He was raised by those three undead, and
Saihate no Paladin.
There we go. Yes, yeah. Faraway Paladin. So in Faraway Paladin, there was a lot of depth, and they got to the way the show and the writer established it was through world building, right? A lot of like good, solid, definitely D&D inspired, layered lore that then informed characters, and then those characters were pleasant and bounced off each other and felt like they were grounded in the world. That's how that storytelling built its depth. In both I'm Quitting Heroing and in Otome game, they build depth in a different way, because I would say that like in both cases the worlds that the characters inhabit are not very deep. You know, like in Otome game, they literally say this is like a bunch of bullshit thrown together by people who just wanted to do other games. So it's like the joke is that nothing in this world really makes sense and it's dumb, right? So they kind of, there is lore and there's world building, but it's kind of pushed off to the side, and it's acknowledged that it's not supposed to be all that great, which, you know, we can talk a little bit about what happens in these episodes and point out that actually there's some really cool ideas here. But in especially in I'm Quitting Heroing, it's a very shallow depiction of what the world is, but as they get into the backstories, especially the main character, and I don't know, have you how much have you watched
of I'm Quitting Heroing?
Yeah,
I haven't gotten into that one yet.
Okay, so I won't go too deep into sort of what the. So I said maybe I
think the last thing you told me was that like he was in the Dark Knight armor with like the Queen or like the Empress or whatever.
So around episode 4 or 5, when he starts dealing with the spy master character, where the purpose of it's like a little episode and a half mini story, and the ideas being explored in those episodes are all about personal communication. Like, how do you, as a person who like is very shy and is intimidated by human contact, how do you form rapport with people through conversation, and then learn enough about them to know if they're going to be good workers? Because remember, this is still sort of an office place, sort of semi-comedy, but a critique, I guess, of like Japanese office culture. So at the end of that little mini arc, they sort of deep dive into the main character's backstory, and the whole time you're sort of expecting that this individual is like, oh, well, he's introduced as the hero, so maybe he's got some very generic either fantasy or isekai backstory that explains how he got all his power, and you know where he was at when he fought the Echidna, who is the demon lord who he defeats prior to the events of the first episode. Like, you think it's going to go into that. Instead, they kind of...
You said there was some huge twist or something?
Yeah, they zig when I would have thought they would have zagged, and they explain a backstory I never would have expected for both the world that they're in as well as the main character.
So, is it an isekai?
It is not an isekai. I mean, you want to talk? We can talk about it. I think it's very interesting.
No. I want to see it.
Okay, so it's a very interesting, and when it happened, when they explained this, and then the episode ended, I was like, okay, well, that's a lot. This could either be the catalyst for some very interesting and unexpected dynamics in the story, or it could be wasted and shitty and just kind of there to be, you know, temporarily exciting, but doesn't really play into very much. And it's been a few episodes since that happened, and there were 2 stories that happened in between where I'm like, oh, we're just pushing that thing to the side. And then this episode 9, finally, I think, paid off the gamble that they were taking with this idea they had, and it paid off in such a way that I was flabbergasted that there was as much interesting, unpredictable, and definitely deep. I won't say deep is too strong a word. Definitely more complicated and complex ideas they're trying to deal with here than I would have given the series credit for, especially given the ending of this week's episode. So when it comes to I'm Quitting Heroing, they are adding depth in, I guess, like backstory and world building, but they're doing it really to facilitate the relationships between 5 characters. So it's not like, oh, now we're gonna go see the 10 other kingdoms, and no, it's not that kind. It's like if we do a deep dive into the real history of what happened to a couple individuals, we can set up conundrums and conflicts that go way beyond just like how do you deal with like a drunken boss, or how do you get a workaholic to understand how to manage his people? Like we moved past that into something I think is actually genuinely like emotional, and I don't know what the solution to the problem that they introduced at the end of this episode 9, can be that satisfies everybody involved. Because we just kind of got to a crescendo of one relationship, and then immediately they were like, okay, now let's fuck it up with something that there doesn't seem to be a way out of it that would make anybody happy. So okay. I like that they're doing that. So that was I'm Quitting Heroing, and then on the Otome game. And where are you in that one? Did you watch episode 8, which I think was the week before last?
8 was that the one
with the pirates? No. That was one where they fought the pirates.
I didn't get to the pirates yet. Then
okay. No. So there's a little short pirate arc, but the underlying does that have to do with the girl who's like trying to manipulate Homegirl? Yeah, it's sort of it's that little. It's like a 2 or 3 episode little thing, but the key is that Olivia has had her growth stunted by Leon doing all the stuff that he was doing to help, right? Because she's supposed to be the main character, but now both her and Angelica, who are who was the main antagonist, have both kind of become secondary to their own stories, and it's playing out for both of them in ways that are psychologically and socially and emotionally challenging. And Leon, up until that point, was just sort of like having his own wish fulfillment of just like fucking over all these shitty characters that he didn't like. With it. Yeah, right. But as a result of the things that he's done and the way he sort of bulldozed through what should have happened, as well as Mary's character also being responsible for pulling away all of the capture targets, the princes who were supposed to be the main sort of supporting characters, by having all that fucked up, both Olivia in like the most primary sense and Angelica in a very secondary sense now don't even really have a role in their own lives. They're sort of trapped in some way by Leon, who doesn't understand that his own insecurity about being a mob character, both in his real life as just like a generic worker and then in this game, is actually hurting them, and especially it's hurting Olivia. And when it takes him a while to figure that out, but then when he finds out, he overcompensates in the other direction. And so I thought that going way back, they were just going to write these princes out. They would find a new way. Instead, they're actually finding ways to grow all of these characters and have them react to how the story's been fucked up. And how Leon, even though he's a good guy underneath his sort of shitty exterior, is the catalyst for a lot of problems, as well as like not being self-aware enough to know what he really should be doing emotionally, and how to be a good friend and treat them like real people. That wasn't something I thought this story was really going to tackle, right? And they're trying very hard and doing a better job than they have any right to. I don't know if it's by accident. I don't know if there's like a genius underneath the madness here, but I actually care how they sort out these interpersonal challenges. And again, it's not clear how they're going to do that. So,
well, I remember when you first started it, you were wondering like how after that first arc and him like watching the princes, you were like, what else is after this? Because that seemed like it was going to be one of the primary storylines, but that was just the beginning, clearly. So that's good to know.
Yep.
I'll do a little.
So I enjoyed it. So those are 2 things. That's what I watched this week. What were you up to?
What did I watch this week? I watched Pretty Cure. I caught up on that, and you know, at first I was kind of just like, all right, we're gonna see what's going on with the girls, blah 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 blah. It's around the time they got their group attack. And so the theme of this season is juice. No, not juice. Oh my god, it's food. The theme is food, but they get juicers as their first like weapon. And at first I was like, oh, okay, it's a juicer. What are they gonna do? And it's literally a juicer gun. So they literally like juice like magical power in it, and then they shoot it. And like one girl literally is like a Kamehameha wave of just like pure juice magical girl energy. So I was like, all right, cool. But then it made me kind of think back, and I was like, wait a second. Somebody at Toei really likes guns. Like someone likes guns, because in a previous season in Hokuto, they had two girls that were twin. They were like twin magical girls or whatever. They weren't actually twins, but their attacks, like they had the same like guitar instrument, like plastic toy that they wanted people to buy. And the way that they attacked with that is that one girl put it on her like shoulder like a bazooka, and the other girl put it down here like a shotgun, and they shot hearts out of it. And so I'm just thinking about with this one, and I'm just like, oh, you niggas really just like projectile weapons, huh? Like this is, I mean, I see it. I'm seeing a little bit of a trend, which I mean, for a lot of the times they have to do projectile things because the animation to like do like a fist weapon and have them like next to the monster while they do the oh, I'm dying kind of thing with Bob. It's a little too much. I get that, but I literally, their group attack is exactly the same thing, except they just like put the guns like closer together, and it's just like a triple like fucking like boom like blast like this. And I'm like, you know what? I really enjoyed that, but also I was like, damn, y'all really like guns. I was like, can we get like a whip or something? Can someone get like a whip or like a, actually no, because that might be too much for children. See, sometimes I forget that the show is for children. But also on another note, as far as like updating the show's been pretty consistent with its action. They have, them girls have been they've been getting their asses beat, and they've been beating asses. So I'm very much pleased with this season, and I feel like that's one of the things that always happens. The seasons that I always am just like, I'm not watching this shit, this does not look very good, are the seasons where they're just like, we might need to put a little bit of extra oomph into this shit because the like aesthetic is not that like alluring. And that's exactly what happened with Princess Pretty, where I was like, princesses? Okay, sure, whatever. And then the first episode had one of the best magical girl Sakuga fighting scenes I've ever seen in my life. And I was
gonna ask, like, you know, what makes what is the difference between a good season and like maybe just an okay season, besides just, you know, oh, I'm into the design of a character here.
I have noticed that the good thing for me is that the seasons where they like throw down with Sakuga usually have better put together stories. And that's what's kind of like turning out for like Delicious Party also. There's a lot of shit going on in the background. And this is a children's show. There's a lot of shit going on in the background, like the sixth ranger or whatever is being mind controlled. How does she become mind controlled in the first place? Then you have like the gay guardian guy, who I am actually so surprised that they have just like made this character so like integral and good and like funny, and he's gay. Like he's clearly gay, but they're not like freaking out or like they're not making like a, oh my god.
Are you telling me there's no gay panic? Come on.
There's no gay panic in the show. No. And then you also have an actual like origins of the Tuxedo Masked character. That's what the next arc is going into, because there's a guy that also is clearly going to fight with them, but usually it's a guy who already has his powers and like they're in one episode. But no, this nigga is literally like, he's been tailing them and watching them fight and being like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, hold on, what's going on? And they also hinted that like the mentor guy, he had powers in the beginning, but then he broke something, and so he doesn't have powers anymore. So I'm assuming they're gonna do the like rejuvenated power, but in another vessel kind of thing about with the guy. So I'm like, okay, that's great too. But overall, like the better seasons usually have like consistent Sakuga, like consistent, like one of the best episodes of like Gold Princess Pretty Cure was an episode where literally the main character was depressed for like 3 episodes straight. Like the girl was just like getting her ass whooped. She wasn't fighting. Like she was getting fucked up. And then the episode where she had to like come to terms and she like realized what was going on. They did, and I fucking love when motherfuckers do this shit. They skip the transformation scene and they show you the transformation like in the battle. So like she transformed like in the moment and just like did the hair at the last second and just started like mopping niggas. And I was like, this is what I'm here for. Like that's what I'm here for. Like that's some badass shit. And so this season is kind of leaning towards that where I'm like, okay, there's gonna be some real like hardcore shit with this. Like eventually, like I am positive that what happened with Tropical Rouge last season, as far as the last episode showing like homegirl like muscled the fuck out like bopping niggas in the last episode, we're gonna get like Sakuga compared on that level like way earlier, and we haven't even hit the mid-season like highlight yet. So we're not even like once we hit like 20 episodes, 18, 19, 20, 21, that's when you'll see like they'll bring in a random fucking artist and basically be like, do what you want, go for it. And that's usually what ends up on Sakuga Buru. So.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Because it's funny, I recall maybe when the last time we talked about Pretty Cure, I did go and look up like, you know, obviously whatever clips are available on YouTube from various seasons. And what I saw was very impressive. But I assumed it was something like that. It's kind of like what they do with like Pokemon seasons, right? Like they'll have a general level of quality, but then it's like the last 3 episodes they'll, you know, usually give it to some collective artist to go ham because they know like that's the stuff that's gonna get clipped up and get attention. Yeah.
But the ones who usually like keep it going throughout the season, those are the ones where they usually turn out to be much better seasons than the other ones.
Okay, yeah. So okay, that makes sense.
In my opinion, if you want to argue about magical girl stuff, then I guess. But like, whatever. I'm not buying them toys. What else is there? Yeah, I think that was pretty much all I watched. I read a little bit more of God of High School. That nigga got out the gourd and did like the planetary like. I don't even know how many of those things were, but basically like the angel army had like tens of thousands of niggas and now they have like 20 because that nigga like got out the gourd and like did something. He's using his like body armor or whatever to like protect the other monkeys and shit like that are fighting. And I'm like, okay, so like you're actually giving him some kind of like risk factor because he's like protecting everyone as opposed to just like fighting and ignoring everything. So there's that. Everyone's getting their powers back. Oh my god, no. Oh my god. The Pandora armor. When that shit came up, I was like, yo, she looks hard. She looks so cool. Like look up the Pandora armor for God of High School. This bitch looks brawlic. Like I was like, yo, man. He had did he design that himself? Like, did you have help? Like, it just looked so fucking cool.
I mean, there's so many sickening designs.
I stayed on that panel and, like, was just looking at the details. I was like, yo, like, the boot cut, but then it's just, like, the green thing. And then I was like, isn't this a villain? Why is she getting, like, the green? Like, what the fuck? Like, the red carpet treatment.
That shit hot. That's all I can say.
It was so cool.
That shit hot.
Oh, my God. And then my girl, Uma, well, is she alive? Or she's the spirit of what the fuck is his name? Bat Boy. Whatever. Yeah. She's the borrowed power now of Bat Boy. So in a sense, she's still alive because she's his borrowed power, even though she's physically dead. That's kind of what I got from it. But even with those two, I thought it was hard as fuck that the horn that she got broken off is his horn now. So it's like horn here and then the horn on her there. And I'm like, right, yeah. Bruh, this is so like the design. It's getting better and better. But I always I keep reading it. I always read it like at damn near like the end of the day, like right before I have to. Ooh, wait, should I say that? Well, no, whatever. Nope. I always read it at like the last minute, like right before I go to sleep or something. I'm like, I'm gonna read a little bit, and then eventually I'm just like, nigga, it's been an hour. Shut it down before you look over and there's sunrise. Like, shut it down, because that's what happened with Tower of God. There were so many nights where I was just like, I can't stop. I can't stop. So, and I feel like that I get the same feeling with God of High School, but there's also like a more the comedy definitely like helps it a lot, like seem a little bit lighter. While in Tower of God, I'm just like everybody gonna die, like somebody's about to die at any moment. Also, I have queued up FFF Class Hero. I'm definitely going to check that one out next once I get caught up on God of High School. Or I might even start it like sooner. And then, what the fuck else was the other one? I also, the Triple S Class Hero one.
Yeah.
I haven't read that in a minute. And I was enjoying where it was going. So I was like, I think I want to like check in and see what that one's doing. What's going on over there. But I have to like log on to like the manhwa platforms and like avoid the BL, because if they're like a new chapter of your BL is out, well, I'm gonna be like, well, there goes the evening. There goes the evening, because now I gotta catch up on everything. So yeah, I will get to those eventually. But yeah, this was a lackluster thing, a lackluster-esque week. One other thing that I watched that I was very surprised about, and honestly, like, Hoyoverse. Genshin Impact is getting better and better at these fucking like character preview video thing about character demos. If you haven't seen it yet, take your ass to YouTube and go watch the Yelan character like trailer premiere thing. Whatever. It's the thing that had the smooth jazz. These niggas really outdid themselves. Like, I think it's the best trailer ever. But I also have just like, they're so good at the anime aesthetic, it's kind of fucking ridiculous. Because you have Genshin Impact, and they have two other games about to drop. They have Honkai Star Rail.
Oh, okay. So is that mobile?
That's gonna be mobile and PC also. And then they have Zenless Zero Zenless or whatever. And that one's gonna be like steampunk like esque action RPG. Similar, basically, it's all similar genres. I think the only one that is like completely different is Star Rail. That one's a strict RPG, like turn-based RPG. But like, I'm looking at all this shit, and all of it is such high quality stuff. Like, it's insane. The character archetypes, the designs, the voice actors are so. I feel like I want to know how much money the Japanese voice actors are making. Like, because
probably not much, actually. You know how this shit goes. People are getting fucked up off of these contracts.
Yeah, because I'm like, they're out here working. Like, they're working. And I'm just so impressed by all of the fucking performances. And I'm just like, yo, I really hope that, like, you are, like, cashing in. Like, you know, you getting your Wagyu wherever you want. Like, sushi every day, all day. Like, come on, like, I hope you're getting your coins. And because it's just because Hoyo is taking full advantage of pairing like the character archetype with the perfect voice. Like, they're getting rid of it, and they're getting better at it with the English voice actors also. So that's something that I'm not very familiar with, and I'm learning about English voice actors through Hoyoverse games, because they employ voice actors that aren't very prominent in like the Crunchyroll Funimation area. So I also like that part. Cool. Okay, I feel like this is all like a huge tangent. Anyway, whatever. It's anime related. Let's go to news.
Well, I got a general topic that is sort of revisiting some conversation that we had last year when we were looking at sort of the review of where Shonen Jump was, and some of the big series that were either on their way out or were close to it, and then sort of the state of some of the new stuff coming up. So, you know, it's been another year, and one of the things I found interesting about looking back at Jump, and I want to shout out to Super Eye Patch Wolf, who had a great video a few weeks ago looking at sort of the state of Shonen Jump, and also just tracking back to the series that didn't make it. You know, Jump has a churn of manga every year. I mean, we tend to focus on a lot of the big names, so these would be your One Pieces, your My Heroes, your Demon Slayers, but realistically about a third of the series that Jump you know, get started up in a given year usually don't last the year, and if they last any longer, they don't typically have a very long shelf life. So this year, if you kind of look at the top 10 sellers across all of Shonen Jump, close to half of them are series that are over. You know, you could consider them, you know, zombified in some sense, because they're still managing to sell massive numbers of volumes on a monthly basis, but there's no new content. So these are things like Demon Slayer, Haikyuu. Now, I mean, Dr. Stone wrapped up, right, recently, and
Yeah.
That's another sort of top 10 product. And you just go down the list, and it's not just things that are like close to being over. It's series that are just straight up done. And Demon Slayer, though it is obviously still has a life in anime and movies, and will probably get what most like non-manga readers would consider, you know, new Demon Slayer content for the next 3 to 4 years as they wrap up, you know, all of the manga via, you know, whether it's stage plays, anime, movies. The fact of the matter is there's no new Demon Slayer getting printed. So if you're Shonen Jump, you know, it's still a revenue stream, but it's not moving your weekly magazine, you know?
How long is that stream gonna exist?
Right. And so the next question is, so if you start to remove the series that are no longer there but still are sort of up there in the charts, you get a very different picture than you would otherwise think, where like One Piece, which had sort of sat at the top of and carried the weekly magazine for a decade, is now number 3, number 4 overall when it comes to, you know, volume sales. And that's not necessarily because like it's less popular. It's more that One Piece is saturated, right? So anybody who is going to get into One Piece has already gotten in, and the ones who aren't are staring down the barrel of, you know, 100 volumes in order for them to catch up and be relevant. And so that kind of becomes its own institutional barrier to growth. It's not growing.
Honestly, the volumes are better than the episodes, y'all.
Oh yeah, the manga is fantastic, and I think it's better structured for getting through the story. But the fact remains, like, you know, One Piece used to carry Jump. Well, this year's number 1 is Jujutsu Kaisen, as far as like just volume sales and interest, which is cool. But then you look at like number 2, and it's still Demon Slayer. And you know, My Hero is somewhere in like the 3 or 4,
it's 4 or 5, I think, right?
Yeah, and you know, it's not long for this world.
Soon, right?
Well, I mean, air quotes soon. I still give it probably another year, but then you're done. And even things that have managed to survive that other people may have thought wouldn't, like Black Clover, is popular, but it's not like a top 5 seller. And
isn't that
Jump.
Ending also?
Maybe, but it may have a like slightly longer legs than My Hero.
I thought the author took a break in preparation for the final arc.
Yeah, but the final arc might last for 2 years, you know? Whatever. But the bottom line is that what we might consider to be tentpole by virtue of like what is getting made, like, oh yeah, Chainsaw Man's another one. It only ran for like 120 chapters, which is about 2.5 years, and that's in the top 10. It's not running in Jump. So these are it's just interesting that like you have a lot of zombified series that are kind of carrying the financial side, but when you take them out, because obviously they're not what's in the weekly magazine, you're left with a very odd landscape where the number 1 sort of most popular series just by interest is not Jujutsu Kaisen, believe it or not. It's Spy Family. And then after that it's Kaiju 8, because both of those series
online
have like something like 78 million views combined.
Wow.
For like yeah. And their volume sales outpace just on a per you know, on like a per issue basis or monthly, even those number 1, air quote number 1 or top 3 series, which now does not include One Piece. I mean, it's just very interesting. So just a minor update that now we're in this odd era where what are the big 3 by sales are like 2/3 of them don't even run in the weekly Shonen Jump magazine.
Yeah.
And
so what's pushing those continued sales? What do you think is pushing that?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, number 1, if I could explain to you what the formula for viral worldwide appeal of like a manga or anime is, I would quit my job, because I will unlock the secret to becoming a millionaire, right?
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily know like what's the secret sauce. What is very clear is that the series that hit big virally in years past and have been able to be sustained via stuff like movies and TV internationally do very well for things like pushing physical or digital like manga volume sales, which is really what counts when it comes to Jump making decisions about what lives or dies inside the magazine. That is very clear. As to like how to get there or how to predict what comes next, well, the problem is that a lot of their series that did very well out of nowhere also ended quickly or are in the process of ending. So the churn, I think, in the next year or two is going to be tough. I mean, I just saw that a Yashiman, which I was really into, which is by the author of Hell's Paradise, which still the anime for that hasn't dropped, and that's been over for a year or more. That got canceled. Is
that summer or fall?
It's well, I think it's supposed to be next quarter. So
okay,
it's fall.
Oh,
I mean, it was supposed to be spring. So you take, you know what I mean?
Oh,
take that.
I also thought it was supposed to be spring.
It was supposed to be. It was advertised for spring. It ain't. So now it's pushed into the the fucking fall with the Bleach return. So you know, take that for what you want. But it's like a Yashiman got canceled, right? And it was doing okay, but you know, if you look at the series that was started, I mean, the only thing I can think of that's sort of in that fighting for into the top 10 but hasn't really popped, you have series like Mashal, which are doing very well relative to kind of what the expectations may have been. I think Mashal is technically a top 10 volume seller, but then past that, a lot of the new stuff that survived from previous years of, you know, Jump trying out new series, they either fall into like a weird category where like they are very similar to other stuff that's already in Jump, but they are doing well enough that just canceling them straight out didn't make a lot of sense, or they're interesting and great to look at, but their volume sales are not like peaking in any conceivable way. Like, so this would be things like a Yashiman, which just got canceled. I think they were doing something like 25,000 volume sales in the last for the first volume that was released, or first or second volume, something like that. That's not very high when you compare it to, like, I don't know, 3.8 million for some of the ones that are in like the top 3. I think Demon Slayer did about something like that. Haikyuu, which is another one that's still running, you know, is doing in the millions of volumes. So like, there's not anything that's like super backbench that's primed to blow up in Jump. And I'm actually pretty shocked that they haven't canceled Undead Unluck, which is another one of those, like, you know, shonen-y, slightly ecchi series that would I would think would normally work. And it's not doing all that hot. And the best stuff they've got are on the Jump Plus side still. But those are not going to go to the main magazine. So it's just a very interesting time with respect to a lot of that, the business side of what's happening with Jump.
I mean, that was all. I already mouthed off my stuff. I was going to talk about guns, and I went from guns, magical girls, Sakuga, something else, whatever. All right, I guess we can go to news. So, one piece of news that okay, so question for you. So, did you see this thing about Kukuru's Doan's Island getting a prequel manga?
Yeah, yes.
So, but in the Gundam Ace supplement, what is that?
Isn't that a magazine?
Oh, it's a magazine. Okay.
I think it is.
I'm just wondering. I was like, why are they going so hard on this like Kukuru's domain thing?
I don't know. I'm not saying they shouldn't, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's
I remember
fine.
your explanation, and I was just like, okay, but James said that this was like one episode. So,
oh wait, before it's good you brought that up. I want to show this is good content. I'll be right back.
Okay.
So we talk about Gundam shit. We talk about Kukuru's Doan and why these movies are making bank. I gotta confess to something.
Oh my god, how many of those?
So this week, a local hobby store was going out of business.
Oh!
And there's 40% off everything. So I got so much shit.
You got
it's crazy.
So many
Hold on.
Figures. Yeah. Oh my god. Wait, what is the blue one? Is that Tallgeese?
No. So these are two Zakus. This is Char's Zaku. This is
Whoa.
This is the ground type mass production. I got like some accessory kits.
Oh, those are accessories. Oh my god.
Yeah, I got it. Where's the rest of my shit? Oh, I got so many things I shouldn't have bought. And I have like a pile of shame. I wonder if I can like turn the camera to get a
pile
idea.
Of shame.
All right, here we go.
Did you like walk out of there with a box?
So I don't know if you can see, but sort of like right in this area.
Yeah.
This is like especially on the bottom. There's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, like 25 kits down there
that you haven't built yet.
Yeah, I haven't built yet. So that's the pile of shame that only grows more and more every time. So I'm part of the problem, guys. I'm just saying. I'm copping to it. I'm one of the ones that
the moment I find the G and Reconquista like model kit for the specific version that I'm looking for, it's money's coming.
Oh yeah, it's fucking over.
So it's over because
I only own
that design.
I only own one master grade, which is, let's see, this guy is a.
Oh wow!
Oh, sorry, real grade, not master grade. Yeah, this is the legit one. This is the fucking Sazabi.
Yeah.
Oh. This is like probably a 10-hour kind of.
Wait, is that do you have to paint the individual pieces?
No, you don't have to paint it, but like the real grade are just so crazy. I have 2 master grade kits also, which are slightly less, but.
Oh wow!
Yeah. That one was a gift. That was a gift.
Oh, okay. I mean, it looks. Did you? Oh wait, no, you haven't even started. Did you build any of those master grades yet?
No, I have not. I don't have the stamina for it, but I want to. I definitely want to. So anyway, the point I was trying to make is that the plastic crack is so serious. So like there are like, so I'm not familiar with that magazine, but like they have the fact that you can have supplemental magazines for just Gundam related hobby shit, and then you can run like either like one shots or like prequel manga series in the supplemental magazine, and it's perfectly financially viable to do that.
They're gonna make a profit.
It's fucking crazy to me. It's crazy. So I don't doubt any of these motherfuckers. Like, yeah, why not? Why not make a whole movie out of a notoriously bad episode of the original series that like only the biggest nerds are even aware of, like I don't know what to call it, like the infamy of like that thing. Like this is the most meta like anime movie I have ever run across in my life. Like, why are they doing this? You asked this when the movie first came up in our sort of news crawl, and I'm like, I have no explanation other than the producer behind it was asked many times about the bad quality of that episode, and he's been asked enough times, and it's just a talking point. Maybe it comes up at conventions, I don't know, and that just stuck in somebody's head, and they wrote a treatment, and then they made a manga out of it, and then they want to turn the manga into a movie. I don't know how not Namco Bandai. I don't know how Sunrise makes its decisions about like what it's going to invest, because that is not, I promise you, whatever that is, that movie's going to be, that's not where I would have expected them to put any kind of money.
More unicorn.
Of course, yeah. Like there are. I mean, people have been asking for like Thunderbolt to kind of get finished. They've been at, what's the other one that they love? The wherever the series the Pale Rider Gundam is from. It's another side story from UC. I'm forgetting the name. But like kit is super fucking popular. I am shocked that they have not done that manga, because there's a manga for that one as well. There's all this stuff with like Jupiter Fleet, and like this is where I would have thought they would have gone. I guess that's what I'm saying is like if you had asked me 3 years ago as part of like the Gundam Anniversary project, where they gotta invest in remaking that episode into a full-length movie, and now at the time I didn't know there was a manga that had some popularity. I did not know that at the time. But still, even if you told me, oh, they made a manga out of Doan's backstory leading up until all the stuff on the island, I would have been like, oh, okay, whatever. But, like, is that the priority? Like, Hathaway's Flash was something people were asking for years because of Beltor Chica's children, and how, like, it was definitely canon to all of the events that happened around Char's counterattack and stuff in between Unicorn. Because when they made Unicorn, they're like, oh, you might as well go and do Hathaway's Flash / Belter Chica's Children, that book, because Tomino wrote it. So, like, it was one of those few cases where there's a book written by the writer and and director of the series. So that, and everybody knows about it, and it's like in the lore, so go for that one. But they said, fuck, we're gonna hit you with what you expect, then we're gonna hit you with some shit that you were not expecting. So I was like, all right, okay.
I'm actually, now all this Gundam talk, I want more pictures. I want like a PV or something of the new season of Mars.
Oh yeah,
girl. I want more because I really like the designs.
I do too.
That they released. Like,
I do too.
It actually reminded me a lot of the Reconquista designs, or like the aesthetic. Like, it didn't look like very boxy. It looked a little bit more like slim or like smooth.
Yes.
So,
which, by the way, the Reconquista designs are fine. It's just that the story is insane.
Oh, the story is
the story is actually insane.
I mean, my experience with the story, as I've told y'all millions of times, is through Super Robot Wars. And so, like, when I got to the end of that storyline in the game, I kind of was like, I can see why people don't like this season. I can see why. Because by the end of this, it just, a lot of the storylines, I was kind of just like, I would be pissed if I was watching this because of where it ended. Like, if they had brought some of the stuff from the ending into, like, the earlier parts of it, then I would have been like, okay, and you can go further than this. But the whole, like, first half, or what I'm assuming what was the first half, and how it ended, I was like, this didn't connect.
Yes, it's rushed. I mean, it feels like there was a missing season in there to basically connect all the stuff that happens after they get to Jupiter, or Jupitrix, like, to the come back to Earth and then fight the last battle. They introduced, like, so many new concepts. New mobile suits, like all those experimental mobile suits. They switch up alliances really, really quickly to get to the final battle. And then there were a couple of, like, antagonist-protagonist sort of interactions that got rushed and pushed to the side just so that they could finish off the story and have a happy ending.
Yeah, wasn't there that guy from, like, the Academy or some shit who was an attack? Yeah. Yeah,
there was a lot of stuff you thought
he kind of just disappeared.
Yes, he got like one special suit that shot a bunch of lasers, and he has like a 2-minute fight in the last episode, and it doesn't like go anywhere. It's just like it just ends. But the thing about Reconquista, just not to go off on too much of a tangent, but just about story in general, is that the first half, you're right, it does so much, and it gets into like transhumanist territory, which is something that Gundam has always sort of kind of been about, because like that's what the new type concept always was. It's just like once we get to space, we unlock all these abilities that humans have that allow for direct communication, and direct communication is the thing that will solve all problems, because humans can't communicate with each other. That's why they fight. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Right. So there's like it's a little supernatural ish. But it sort of has that transhumanist identity of we're going to evolve into something better once we get to the future. They went full ham with that shit right in the middle of Reconquista, where it's like, oh, these motherfuckers been off Earth so long, they're not even like
human,
literally, physically, anything. They're not human anymore. When they got to that fucking the future Jupiter motherfuckers, and they were like almost like pod people. Just like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck? Like, this is a totally different kind of story. And their whole goal is like, we're leaving the solar system. We're gone, bro. Like, I was like, oh, that's where UC Gundam was always headed? Was like, Earth is now like a technology-free paradise?
We're Yamato now.
Yeah, exactly. And then they realized that they'd gone, it was almost like some editor committee, when they got to that part of the story where you find out the main characters are brother and sister, and because it was a real fucking Luke and Leia situation. You're like, oh, they get close, and it's like, nah, bro, that's your sis, and it's like, oh, well, there goes that idea.
When that happened in the game, I immediately benched her unit. I'm not using you anymore. I was like, I'm not using you anymore. I was like, this has pissed me off. I'm not using you anymore.
You felt betrayed and grossed out. You're like, nah, bro, we're not doing this.
Well, that's the thing, though. I was like, why did we have to go here? Like, I would have enjoyed it much more if she literally was just like, okay, nigga, you're gonna have to learn how to be let down. Like,
yeah, sure, fine, yes, do
yeah,
that.
Great, perfect plot line. No, that's your sister. Okay, well, that not only does that make that like sad, but it got weird simultaneously. Like,
I was just like, you got me fucked up right now. You got me That's his sister, bro, and we had to figure it out now. It like I invested a lot of time into what was going on there. And it's like, I bet you some editors committee, they were like getting through, you know, he's sending them the proofs every other week. Their production, it's like, oh, that's cool. That's a little weird. Okay, that's cool. That's a little weird. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then they get to the Jupiter shit. It's like, okay, now hear me out. Like, humans have basically become like weird alien species. Everyone's got psychic powers. Oh yeah, the two main characters, they're brother and sister now. And they were like, hold on, nigga, stop right there. Okay, we let you have all that other stuff. You better figure out a way to bring this all the way back. They go back to Earth. We're not dealing with any of this weird, like, transhumanist sci-fi stuff. Dude's not gonna fuck his sister. We're not doing any of that. And you better believe that if there had been no editorial control, Tomino would have been like, yeah, they fucking, yeah, that's exactly what they're gonna do. He would do it, and then have, like, a mind break moment when they find out, and then, like, one of them tries to kill themselves or something wild. So
honestly, I would have preferred that. I would have preferred a little bit more darkness.
Yes. Well, they put the kibosh on that bit, and then they did all, like, the G Institute stuff.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was called. I don't know, G something. And that brought them back to Earth, where it felt like they just rushed right to get to the ending. And, like,
they could have done with another Kerr.
Yeah, within 6 episodes, they had introduced like 20 new mobile suit types and had completely like scrambled the alliance and who was the enemies and who were the allies. They wrote all that Jupiter shit right out of the story. It just did not come back at all into the story. And then it just ended with like, oh, and now Earth is better. It is good. We can go up the elevator. Everybody is happy. And I'm like, oh, what about like the EFSF and like all the stuff that was happening with the other... Okay, no, we're not doing that? Okay, fine.
My main thing was that they confirmed that when it was confirmed that that was the UC, like, century, like, shit, It was like the far-flung future. When that happened, I kind of was just like, huh?
Yeah.
I was like, I have not seen, like, any hints of this. Or maybe it's because I didn't watch it. Maybe it was because I got it through gaming format. But, like, when that dropped, I kind of was just like, this is what you were leading towards? That it's just UC?
So, like, I knew that it was supposed to be, like, the end of the UC series.
Oh.
And I couldn't believe it. Because I'm like, because this is, like, re-guild. Because, so, again, you never watched Victory Gundam.
No.
But, like, up to this series, up to Reconquista, Victory Gundam was, like, the latest that we had gone in the proper UC canon.
Oh,
and
okay.
So, like, all the Zanskari Empire stuff, that all took place after Crossbone and Gundam F91 the movie. Like, so that was the latest they ever got. And then there's, like, a gap. It's, like, I don't know how many hundreds of years, but it's, like, some number of hundreds of years. And then you get the Reguild Century, which is everything that took place in Reconquista. And I knew that kind of going in, but I was still like, oh, well, maybe this could be like the wrap up, but I didn't expect it to go as far as it did with like the transhuman shit, and then I also didn't expect it to just collapse at the end either.
I feel like if it was gonna be a wrap up, they should have done it like Iron Blooded Orphans. It should have had like 4 cores. Like, if that's what you were gonna do, UC is huge. That's
they spent a lot of money on that series. That's what I heard. I heard they spent a lot of money
on Reconquista.
Oh, I heard they spent a lot of money on that one. And you know what? When you go back and watch it,
I didn't even hear of that version of Gundam until I played that game.
It didn't have a Western, like, mainstream release. Well, I'm trying to think, like, there really hadn't been... When was the last time Gundam... They did Gundam Unicorn. They did the Gundam Unicorn TV series. That was on Toonami. They had a partner for that in the West. They didn't air... Iron Blood Orphans came out. It's just like... But Reconquista, I don't think ever...
I don't remember ever seeing.
And if it did, I missed it. I mean, I'll cop to not knowing if it actually did happen.
I mean, for me personally, there was a huge like gap in my Gundamness because I remember I bought when Gundam Seed was airing. I remember I bought a whole bunch of like Gundam Seed video games and shit like that. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, this is interesting. And I always caught random ass episodes, so I never knew what the fuck was going on. So I was like, I guess I'll catch this in order one day. And then I just like never came back to Gundam. Like I knew of Gundam, and I was like, Mitch, I watched Wing, G Gundam, etc., etc. I was like, I'm good. I've dipped my toes in it. And then I think the next thing that I got like exposed to was Iron Blooded Orphans. And then that's when I learned about like Double O, Reconquista, and shit like that. And I'm like, oh, so there were all these other seasons? Where the fuck were they? They weren't in America.
Right.
Well, Double O was in America, right?
Double O did air.
When?
I'm pretty sure it did.
Maybe it aired. If it aired, like, let me see. When did this air?
I think it did. I think because I remember there were like promos for it.
So maybe it got to So I definitely like I was in like high school to like first years of college. So like I wouldn't pay attention to that. That time all I was.
Oh no, it didn't air. No, Gundam 00 did not make it.
Oh, that explains that then. Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, the niggas basically, did they just give up on the Americas after a certain point?
Well, it's weird, and again, we've talked a lot in the past about how odd the sort of localization of what are usually like big titles in Japan can be in the U.S. So I can, off the top of my head, tell you a variety of Gundam series that are very good and very well known that for whatever reason never made it to American TV. You could go to Victory Gundam. Turn A never made it to. I mean, it was on Cartoon Network briefly, but I don't think it ever finished. Because it went like Endless Waltz, and then there was like nothing. No, actually, no, I take that back. Turn A was never on TV. Then you've got none of the Evolve series made it. Gundam Seed did air on TV. I think all the like super deformed ones after SD Gundam were on television, but they may have been on like Nickelodeon or like some non-Toonami
like
channel. Saturday
morning.
Yeah, I think they made it that far.
Okay.
The movie, the Seed movie, got localized, but never like promoted. Tell me where you would have ever found that. 00 did not air in the U.S. Then you had like Unicorn, which did come eventually when they did. Because remember they did like the movies and they turned into a TV formatted 24-minute episode.
So the movies came first for that.
Yeah, those came first. Then all like the later SD Gundams, I think one of those made it to television. And you tell me, did Build Fighters ever get to like television? Television block for like maybe Nick or whatever? Because I don't remember that. They definitely didn't air Gundam Age.
Build Fighter, no, I don't. Well, personally, I wasn't watching like cable and shit like that, or like those channels when Build Fighters dropped in America. That was like the 2000 teens, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't have cable.
Yeah, so I don't think Build Fighters actually made it to regular TV. Then like you have The Origin, which were they were an OVA series. It did get like a 13 episode cut into a anime, and that may have aired on like Toonami. I think it did. Don't quote me on that one. Thunderbolt was ONA, so that was all like internet only. Never went anywhere. And then there's a variety of like shorts and like the battle log stuff, and like it just doesn't live anywhere. Like it's and the movies were just movies. I thought that they were gonna like put narrative on like Toonami. They never fucking did that shit. And they aired Unicorn, and this was the Unicorn movie. Didn't do it. So. It's weird. A lot of Gundam never made it to like a regular televised broadcast in the U.S. And how they choose which ones they bring over and which ones they don't will forever be a mystery to me.
Okay. So. Well, now that you say that, I need to build my fucking Barbatos.
Yeah, you should do that. That's a good idea.
Need to build him. Do something. What else do I have? A Speed Racer live action series directed by J.J. Abrams. I will check it out. I'm interested just by the name alone. Whatever. We'll see. It's cars, zoom, zoom. Like, there are plenty of people who have a lot of experience with the Fast and Furious movies. So I'm pretty sure they're going to hire a whole bunch of them niggas and make, like, a whole bunch of crazy things happen. Yay. Great.
Right.
And then, oh yeah, Konosuba has finally gotten its fucking 3rd season. Like, Jesus Christ, it took forever. Oh my God. And the spin-off, what is it? An Explosion on This Wonderful World. I mean, perfect character to get the spin-off. Perfect character. And yeah, I'm looking forward to, like, crying, laughing at my fucking screen again. Like, I mean, I know that's not your brand of comedy, but, like, that shit just... I actually think it's been so long since I've watched it that I've forgotten some of the storyline gags. So I might need to do a little fucking rewatch of that shit.
Hey,
but
yeah.
Also, the next arc in Pokemon is the Masters Tournament, where it's literally all the, like, Elite Four champions fighting.
All I care is if Red is winning. If he ain't winning, I don't care.
Red ain't even there.
Oh, never mind then.
Red ain't even there. It's Cynthia, Leon. Speaking of, there's supposed to be a Pokemon announcement tomorrow at like 6 a.m. Oh. I'm like, what the fuck? Why did y'all even announce it at 6 a.m.? Like, okay, well, I mean, it's worldwide, so whatever. But there's supposed to be an announcement tomorrow. But I'm actually going to be interested in watching this particular arc because it's only supposed to be battles. Like, he's not traveling anywhere. He's not going anywhere. These niggas are fighting. And they highlighted in the trailer how ridiculous this nigga looks with, like, all the fucking, like, armbands and, like, the Z ring, the Mega ring, the fucking Gigantamax bracelet and shit.
Damn.
Like that. Like, Ash looks so tacky. I was like, you look tacky, nigga. Like, take that off. But,
well, no, it's just a walking promotion for, like, a bunch of kids' toys. So
yeah.
You ever seen like
what? You're right, because they can actually jack up the price on the older toys to basically be like, this shit's relevant again. Oh my God.
There's a meme of some guy. It's older. It's probably from like the early 2010s of this guy.
The Yu-Gi-Oh guy?
Yeah, he's got every accessory.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the meme title was, but like there's a part of me wants to find that because I'm sure it's a similar concept IRL. It's just like doing the most. I don't know, man. It's just to sell some toys.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, I'm expecting some good fight scenes. Like, I'm expecting X and Y, Sun and Moon Pokemon fight scenes. Like, I'm not expecting blood or anything, but like they really like went all out for the fight scenes in those seasons. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested. Like, I know the little nigga ain't gonna win. Whatever. I don't care no more, but I am excited about that. I think that's all that I had for news. Did you have anything?
No, not really. I think that we will sort of be inundated with a lot more promotional stuff for the next season, and frankly, some of the shows that are running in the winter in the next month. And so I'm kind of looking forward to a lot of that. I'm tired of people rehashing me the same Bleach promo trailer. Like, I want to see what that shit looks like. Frankly, I'm looking forward to news that they did or didn't rewrite large parts of something.
Let's get into the important part.
That's what I want to know. I don't care that like all the voice actors I don't give a shit. I don't care. I need to know, are you fixing Division Zero? Are we getting that? Is that happening?
I don't know. Kubo hasn't said anything.
Yeah,
they haven't said anything.
Shit about shit. The only thing the funniest, the only thing Kubo has said isn't even in relation to the Bleach show. It was when he found out that that they were trying to the Burn the Witch. He's like, hey, nobody told me. I'm like, nigga, don't play with us.
Which, oh my God, now I'm like, I feel like we should have. Wait, is Burn the Witch still like dropping shit?
No, but it will. He did like the 75-page, not quite a one shot, not quite a series starter, but then theoretically is promised into doing more. My whole point is that like we don't know nothing about nothing, and clearly he don't know nothing about nothing either. So it's very funny to me that like, you know, all the questions people really want answered, like the glow of Bleach coming back is great. There's also a lot of niggas who are like, what's Bleach? Which is fair.
That's okay. Yeah. That's A-okay.
Yeah.
Listen, find you a filler guide or read the manga.
Just read the manga.
That. Yeah. I mean, up to a certain you can just read the whole thing, whatever. Just go. I mean, when Aizen showed up in that final arc, I literally was just like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Nigga, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Throwing everything into the soup to try to thicken it up.
Literally, we went through, how many years was the Arrancar arc?
Forever.
Oh my god.
But like the Arrancar arc was the irony is that's the thing that everybody loves, but it's almost a beat for beat recreation of the first arc of the series.
Yes!
It's like it is so unapologetic. All they did was switch Orihime for Rukia. It's the same story.
Yeah. But I mean, I ate it the fuck up. I mean,
it was great, but we should have known looking at that like, oh wait, Kubo only has one story to tell. Fuck, and he's gonna do it for 6 more years.
Yeah. I mean, the full what is it, like the full bringers, that shit.
That was a waste.
Yeah,
they literally just said it was all a dream. They basically did it's all a dream. Basically, you never saw that power again.
Shit. And then we get to the 1,000-year, like, okay.
Yeah, and they had cool adversaries.
Oh my god, no. I will never take it away from Kubo. Like, the niggas look cool, but we needed so much more time. We needed way more time. Just in the entirety of the whole fucking arc, like, niggas was getting gutted. And just like, and it was just the gutted end. We don't see the villain no more, and we don't see that character no more. We don't see nobody find that character dead. We didn't get none of that shit. So I'm kind of just like, wait, but what about? And then wait, aren't they the strongest? Them niggas dead? Okay.
I mean,
well, I don't know what you're doing. Aizen?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Well, here we go. Okay, great. Aizen. And the moment that Aizen showed up, I was like, okay, so Ichigo's gonna have some like random ass like final minute power up, and that's the end of the series. Like, that's it.
Which again, also I don't mind.
Did you read the continuation thing?
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
I think that there's a lot of cool ideas that Kubo still has. Some of the new designs that were in that one chapter were cool. I also like the fact that in the movie, I think it was like movie 2, the one where they deal with like Ichigo actually going to hell and exploring like that side of things. Like that was the movies were always like quasi canon, but they weren't really. And so it felt like when I was reading this new one shot that they were diving back into that and they were making some of the ideas canon, even if the story from the movie isn't, which I assume it's not.
I didn't even watch any of the movies, so I didn't even know about the hell.
Yeah, they're stuff. Okay. They're most of them are missable. But the thing that I always thought about when it came to sort of how Bleach ended, and not that, the ending was bad, it is what it is. It's that there were so many really, really good ideas that were partially executed. Some people go, things were done badly, it was rushed. They just weren't finished. Like when you figure out, what's his name? Man, now I'm forgetting. With the Yachiru's his Bankai.
Shit.
You know what I'm talking.
I know, yeah, the fucked up sword.
Like, yeah. But that concept, we've been thinking about that as fans from basically the first arc, right? Like we want what's the Bankai? What's the Bankai? What is
Zenpachi?
Who is Zaraki, right? And what's his Bankai? Because you never see it. What is Yachiru? Is Yachiru actually a person? Is he the only person who sees her? Does everyone see her? How does she interact? And then they kind of had this like moment, which I have a hard time remembering, but basically it seemed to be indicated that she was actually his materialized Bankai, and then she died. And it was like, or did she just disappear? Like when they were fighting some.
I thought she just disappeared.
Well, they were fighting a guy who could rewrite reality, and so it was like there were two chapters where it was literally Yachiru fighting, and like Zaraki was erased or locked up or something. I'm like, we're getting this is a cool idea. How's he gonna overcome it? And then it just ends. Like that fight, it just literally ends, and it's like, well, okay, fine.
They can't do this. They cannot do this in the anime. Like
they off-screened the Division Zero, which made that was clearly done for time-saving purposes. But they also spent like the first half of the entire arc
building them up.
Yeah, hyping them and there was like some really cool ideas, like the guy with the paintbrush and like it was sick. There was so much sick shit. It's not like some series where you get to the end and there's nothing cool. There's no cool new things.
It's just fucking fighting.
Yeah, it's just it's like I don't care about this character. I don't care about the design is weird. This guy's out of gas. No, Kubo was still hitting with design and concept. It's just every single interaction and combat situation ended abruptly, and it ended with like Omega Asshole that had no build up. Like Yoriichi turned into a cat lady, and like it was hot, but it was like, oh, okay, she's being controlled by was it Urahara? You know, it's like, okay, cool. So I hope that you know, people say, oh, filler. No. This is the one time in anime history with a tentpole show where we need filler.
We need it. We
actually need it.
We need it.
We need Kubo to write it.
That was another thing. I was like, can you announce that Kubo's on the writing team?
Yeah.
Or like supervising? Because that would give me hope that like, okay, maybe they're gonna like spring that shit on us. Where like they're not gonna explicitly say it. It's just gonna be one episode. We're just gonna be watching it. It's gonna be like, hold up, this is new. Nah, that ain't happened. Okay, we're doing it. He's doing it. They're gonna do it. Like if they do it that way, that's cool. But niggas are definitely gonna bitch until we get to that point because I don't know. It's. I want to recommend Bleach to like new people, and you know what? I do recommend Bleach to like people where I'm just like, yeah, it was one of the like big three back then or whatever. But it's a good shonen. It's enjoyable. But when I see what he did, or when I saw what he did with Burn the Witch, and then you go back and you look at Bleach, and then you compare it to everything else. We've done this so many times, y'all, but whatever. But I do it again anyways. The A aesthetic is just, it's infallible. Like the nigga is creative as fuck, and it's not just the designs and how the characters look, it's the powers, as you said, like the concepts. That shit, I will bang knife.
Yo, bang knife is that motherfucker, man.
Bang knife.
That all you needed was 3 minutes and you realized that Kubo still had it. 3 minutes.
And there's a whole other council of niggas on the same level as him that we haven't seen a fucking lick of.
Yes.
I need it. All
right, well, if we're just going into the other point I'll make is, in the 1,000-Year Blood arc, the best thing that Kubo did that nobody ever talks about, because this is the one storyline he actually spent a lot of time building up, but it was like a B or a C story, was Baz B and Jugrum, the right hand of your watch, like the white-haired dude, basically the one that you know, was supposed to be his second. When you're reading the 1,000-Year Blood arc and you ask yourself, why was so much time spent building up that story of like, oh, Bazby, the fire dude, he's like uniquely talented. He grew up with Jugrum. Jugrum's got no powers. And then, you know, as they grow, Jugrum just sucks at everything. And then you find out at the end that actually it was Jugrum's power that was making Bazby the shit. And like that kind of and I'm underselling it, but like, when you read it, you see that like he's still able to build these like very personal, very like stories that are well connected to the lore. That through them you learn a lot about this organization. You learn a lot about Quincy's. You learn a lot about all kinds of cool stuff. Set up a really cool confrontation, and then if you get to the end, they just never have it out. There's like 3 panels of their final fight, which is supposed to be reminiscent of like Renji and Ichigo. And it only gets 3 panels, and like that's the kind of thing that we know the creativity is there to fill in the blanks, to like pay off a lot of the development. There's so many things that just didn't get a payoff. Just give us a payoff. All right.
You know what they're gonna do? They're gonna bring back Grimjaw, some way, somehow.
Well, that means look, if they want to make money,
if they want to make money, that was the one thing that I actually was like expecting the entirety of the way after the Arrancar arc, and he never did it, and I was like shocked. Because niggas loved Grimjaw. Like, the amount of fucking Grimjaw fan art that was just, like, on the internet, like, nonstop. And, nigga, like, the AMVs, like, all the shit. And I was like, y'all only have so many clips of this nigga.
I know.
Like you only have, like, what are we doing? Like, are they going to bring him back? Is he going to get a spin-off? Like, nothing. They just completely ignored the fucking character. Which is funny, because you think about, like, thinking about like Fire Force when they do like the character polls and how what's call it, the 8th division, not 8th, the 7th, is it Benny Morrow? What the fuck is his name?
Which one?
The broom dude who has like the eyes.
Oh yeah, it is Benny Morrow. Yeah,
Benny Morrow, like how apparently he wasn't supposed to be that fucking important, and then the character polls occurred, and they were like, "Nah, get that nigga in there, put him in there, let's go." So, I would like to see something. You know, you can drop it on us surprisingly, or they could basically be like, "Yeah, Grimjoss is not coming back." Like if Aizen can come back after all of that, then like he can bring back a random Arrancar. Also, what happened to Nelliel? Like what the fuck? Okay, anyways, this is whatever. We can do another rant closer to release.
Yeah,
this was completely off the cuff. I was
oh
not
man,
about Bleach today.
Bleach talk gets my blood up because I'm just like, bro, I had to live through the era of the big three, and like I was always a Bleach fan over other stuff, but it was because of the aesthetic. Like there were people who went hard in the paint, like would fight niggas over this shit. And I'm like, it ain't that serious, but I love. In all art, just like good design, a serviceable story, take you pretty far. And Bleach was like overflowing with good design. Yes. I cannot think of another series
to this day.
That lives up to that. Overflowing. So whenever the topic comes up, I'm like, just do right by the story. The design is there. The ideas are there. It'll work out just fine. Give people some closure, maybe. That would be a good thing. But you know damn well we're gonna live through the era of the Naruto remake.
Oh my god, no!
You know that's going to happen.
Oh my god!
There's going to be, like, you know how like it's gonna be
how they did Dragon Ball Kai.
But it'll be like it'll be, you know, new animation, not like that. We're gonna live through that. There is so much money to be made by going back and remaking Naruto.
And cutting the fucking fillers out.
Right, and doing it from, like, you know, the purist point of view, where it's like, we're going to do chapter for chapter.
Oh, it's going to get, like, Sailor Moon Crystal.
Exactly.
Like,
and they have 1,000 chapters to work from. And they will create an entire new generation of frothing fans. And if you think I'm blowing shit, we already lived through this once! It already happened with DBZ.
Yeah.
It already happened. Yeah. There were actually 3 versions of DBZ that were re-released in the US. Because remember there was the dub version that was before the main cast that we're familiar with, not the Sean Schimmel version, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yes. 100%. Oh, yes.
Wow. Okay.
Also, where does One Piece air in the US? Please tell me. It doesn't.
Nowhere. It doesn't. Because I distinctly remember watching One Piece at like 8 o'clock on Saturdays or some shit like that on Cartoon Network. And then them niggas just stopped.
Right.
They just stopped. And then my freshman year of college, I found out about Soul Eater. And I was like, oh my god, I'm going to watch this. This is cool, blah, blah, blah. And then I saw One Piece on episode like 3, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I thought this show had finished or like was dead. And then the entirety of like the first semester of my like freshman year at college, I went to class and I watched One Piece. And that was it. I don't know how you niggas are doing it today where you have like 1,000+ episodes to catch up on. I just think that's like unrealistic. Unless content creation is your like income and you're like, you know, making it a part of your brand, that's a-okay. But then also Toei is very, very copyright strike like happy, so that's also a fear. But I don't know, I feel like certain arcs, watch it, but other ones like the Gecko Moria, what the fuck is the name of that arc?
Thriller Bark,
like, yeah, I wouldn't recommend anybody watch Thriller Bark. Like, it's not
great.
Yeah,
it could have been shorter. I think it's one of those things where like there are 3 moments in Thriller Bark that make it it's cool, and so I don't hate it. One of them is when Usopp scares that ghost bitch to death. Luffy in the zombie Luffy in that fight that he has at the end, and then Zoro tanking all of that,
the Kuma,
Kuma shit. Like those 3 moments are fantastic. The shit in between a lot of them is not particularly good, especially because prior to that, almost nobody else in the main Straw Hat crew gets a really good like foil in Gecko Moria's crew. The closest was probably like the Usopp, whatever that witch girl who has the teddy bear, and then Zoro basically fights a zombie version of himself to get another sword, which started out cool, but that fight took way too fucking long to end the way everyone knew it was going to end, with him just like beating him in a sword fight. And it's like his real moment was like eating shit at the end from the Kuma dude, or the like that part. That was all really cool. Also, Gecko Moria kind of just sucks as a villain.
He does.
Yeah.
He wasn't very menacing, and I was like, bitch, where's CP9? Bring them niggas back.
Yeah, he was a goof, and he had a power that kind of got around a lot of the scaling stuff that, like, One Piece was doing at the time. So it always kind of felt like the way he was going to lose wasn't going to be, like, the usual test of strength. And Luffy's not a smart character, so he wasn't going to outthink him either. Because at the time, what was it? It was like, you had to throw salt in the mouths of the zombies, and then, like, the souls get separated. And it's like, okay... To try to then figure out a way to just make it possible for the main cast to just punch him to death seemed like a waste of time. Why didn't they just do that in the beginning? And yeah, it was a lot of running around for no reason. But
yeah, it was definitely a lot of running around. Yeah. But I don't know. I just can't really recommend to everyone, like, if you're new to One Piece, watching it all. I just think that's a huge time commitment. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff out there to watch that's like, you know, just as engaging and intriguing, and won't take up as much time as One Piece.
I don't like. I'm in a weird place with it because I'm kind of with you, where it's when I would say like you don't feel obligated to have to go and watch it. However, my counterpoint to that is One Piece is very, very good. So if it's like, oh no, I've got 1,000 episodes between me and what's current. One way to think about that is I've got 1,000 episodes. I don't have that kind of time. Another way to think about that is, literally, you do have that kind of time. Just don't watch other shit. Watch One Piece. One Piece is good.
I mean, I did that. So, yeah, like, listen, the whole Impel Down, Water 7.
Yeah.
Once I got there, I was like, oh, I'm hooked. Like, this is good. This is some good shit.
Yeah.
But... other than that, yeah.
But it's long, and I've heard people say that, like, you know, they are generally intimidated by long series, which I can intellectually understand. But as somebody that when I run across some shit that's very good, and you tell me there's a lot of it, I get fucking excited. Like when I'm reading like the Wheel of Time books, or I find out that there's like a 200...
I keep hearing about those books. Is that
books
finished?
are good. The books are quite good. So I will recommend those. But I'm just saying, me personally, I'm excited when I get 1,000 pages of something to read. I'm excited when I get a lot of episodes of something that I think is very good. But that may just be a personality type. Some people, they need variety all the time. I think that's ADHD. But hey, you know what? That's life.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's attention spans are getting smaller and smaller, shorter and shorter. That's why TikTok be banging, because niggas ain't got more than, like, what, 15 seconds? You better get it across quick.
Yeah.
Well, we tangented the fuck out of this one today.
Yeah, we did.
But I mean, whatever. Like,
I blame cat shit, but that's
yeah. So yeah. Did you have any recommendations?
I do. It was something that another series I came back to, another manhwa series. This one is Leveling with the Gods, and it kind of turned into a more like martial arts heavy series than I would have expected given the premise, what I read a long time ago. But the art's actually pretty good, and they do a lot with like color palette. Not necessarily, like, the character designs are all they have a very, like, painterly kind of look to them, and the effects that they use are, for the most part, hand-drawn, and the CG is hard to... It's used in places that make it... like, how do I say this? Like, when you look at movies, modern movies versus movies that may have been shot in, like, the 70s and 80s and 90s, when doing a lot of stuff with CGI was expensive, and so when it was there, it was kind of like a centerpiece, whereas you look at the movies today where the average scene in a film, even like a very basic like romantic comedy, might have 200 or more CGI effects in that shot that you don't even notice as with your naked eye. It's just there to fill the space. It's kind of that way with manhwa too, where there's a lot of CGI and sometimes it's just like clearly to save money. And then there are some series where the artists are using the CGI to do things that are very difficult to do with hand-drawn animation, angles, and doing like the equivalent of a tracking shot, but without the movement of a camera. And that's what Leveling with the Gods does. It makes use of a lot of like really aggressive angles and CGI in order to induce like different feelings of like vertigo or claustrophobia or other things. So clearly the team that's behind this, the writing is pretty good, but like even the team behind it get a lot of mileage out of Dutch angles and other stuff where I'm like, oh, this feels different than other series. But like I said, it starts out as like a returner Tower of Babel type story, and then kind of veers into a lot of mythology, Chinese mythology, Western mythology, and martial arts. And it's cool, and it looks cool. The main character's kind of a dick, but also cool. So I would catch up on that one. So that's like a half a recommendation, because I think I talked about this last year when there are about half as many chapters as there are now. Another one that also I've been following, and I think I probably talked about it 3 or 4 months ago, and then as we've returned to manhwa here and there, I brought it up before, Eliseed. I really like Eliseed. Yeah. And it's now become something that, now that some other series have gone on their seasonal break, I'm like looking forward to reading on a weekly basis. That's pretty cool. And then besides that, I'm trying to think. There was one other. I'm looking forward to the One Piece Red movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because
is it canon?
That's what I hear. I hear that it is actually canon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it deals.
And Shanks' daughter is in it,
it's
right?
It's supposed to be the backstory of the Shanks pirate crew, and I don't know if the character of his daughter is actually right. Is going to be referenced in the story, but the backstory of the Shanks pirate crew will be, and so that's what I'm looking forward to, because I think that's the actual final battle in One Piece.
Oh yeah, he and Shanks?
Yeah, I think it's him versus Shanks.
Yeah, because I kind of assumed that based off of what happened at the Marine headquarters where like Ace and shit died. Like the fact that he had the kind of power to like scare them niggas into submission. Yeah. I was just like, oh, you might not be an ally.
I think there's two swerves in One Piece. Swerve number 1 is that Blackbeard is not the final villain. And swerve number 2 is that the destruction or the liberation of Mary Jo, which is like the Imu-sama shit, is also not the final villain. I think that those two swerves then lead to Luffy versus Shanks on the shore of the One Piece, whatever island the One Piece is on. And it's not necessarily that Shanks is a villain. It's that he's the final wall,
or
between the old order of the seas and the new order, and because they share the first chapter, there he jumped him in, and then they're gonna jump him right out. Yeah. So I think that's where we're headed in 10 years.
My bitch Robin gonna be right there. She gonna read all the poneglyphs. Yeah, it's gonna be like amazing. Oh my god!
But we'll get that when we're 40 and 50 years old, respectively. So
I can actually see that. Yeah. I can see that. And,
or Oda dies first, and we don't get an ending like Berserk.
Don't do this. Don't put that in the air. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh yeah, I already am like, and I don't even read Hunter x Hunter like that. And y'all over here like worried that this nigga's gonna disappear any day now.
It's happened before and it will happen again.
That's why I'm just like, Oda, keep your ass. Like, whatever Mitch McConnell is doing to keep his corpse going, like, just do that shit. Just do that shit. Because that nigga be on the stages rotting. So just find out what he doing and do that shit. And just, like, don't go nowhere. Or, like, you know, maybe... No, we won't have, like, the brain.
Here's another hot prediction, too. Nothing to do with One Piece. I am pretty convinced that next season, which theoretically is when Chainsaw Man airs, I think Chainsaw Man is actually going to be outdone by Hell's Paradise.
Oh, I'm not surprised by that.
I think that's because the hype is all on Chainsaw Man just from a series point of view. But I think that folks don't know what they're in for with Hell's Paradise, and I love both a manga, but oh holy shit when they get a load of like what is going on. I mean, Hell's Paradise. It's like It's like a original Dragon Ball, Attack on Titan, and like 10,000 other beautiful ass Rurouni Kenshin. Or really, I should say Samurai X, like all rolled into one series. And by the way, it doesn't go on forever. It's you'll get 3 or 4 good seasons out of it, and then you're done. That shows, and I've seen from what I've seen in these previews, man. Like, trust me, Chainsaw Man is gonna be like the thinking man. Shonen. It's so deep. Oh my god, it's so deep. But like Hell's Paradise is gonna be like, oh my, yank your balls out and drag you through the woods type. Holy shit moments. So that's my prediction right there. But.
I mean, I've had some people in my Discord speak very highly of it. Like, so I'm just like, oh, okay, well, if you niggas love it, then I can't wait. Like,
because there's nothing else that looks like it. The enemy, the antagonist design, and like, it's got like a...
Like, I didn't watch the trailer, but I saw like clips of it, and I was like, what the fuck is that?
It's fucking wild. Absolutely wild. But anyway, I think that's all I got. That's all I got. You got any recommendations?
For my recommendation, you know what? I always am just like, I don't have a recommendation. But I be reading like so many BLs, like
so just recommend
every day. So I'm just gonna recommend a BL. Yeah. So I'm recommending. I want to talk about Fate with you. And it's Kimi no Unme ni Tsuite no Hanashi ga Shitai. I fucked it up. Okay, great. Got it, you guys. But basically, it's an Omega-verse show, which I feel I've explained Omega-verse to you before, right? Like the secondary genders, yes. Omega, Alpha. So there's like primary genders, like male, female, and then the secondary, which allows like men to get pregnant by other men and shit like that. So yeah, this has nothing to do with the sex or like the actual like smut. It actually has to do with two people like psychologically being fucked up because of the genders that they become. So there's alphas, omegas, and then betas. So regular everyday people are betas, which means like they have children through like male, female. The alphas and the omegas, they can have children like regularly with another beta or whatever, but usually they'll have it with like another like secondary gender person. And what this plot of this story centers around is these two guys who met in high school. They thought they were like each other's fated pair. They thought they were going to be together forever. And then the secondary genders usually like manifest in high school, like around like 16, 17, 18. In this series, not just in all the series, whatever. But basically they both turn out to be betas. And so the story is literally them trying to like legitimize like their relationship in like basically all over like to themselves and to other people, because like they're just a gay couple, like an actual gay couple. And in that world, a lot of people are just like, why are you with another man? You can't have a child. Like, you're not you guys aren't alpha omega. So it's a whole different kind of just like prejudice born of this like subset of yaoi. But it was really interesting. Like, it was bittersweet as fuck, which made me love it, because I was like, oh wow, like it's kind of a happy ending, but is it really? So yes, I recommend that one this week.
That like strikes a chord in my brain. There was an anime, they only was an OVA, came out in the 90s. The premise was that there was a colony ship that suffered some kind of problem and had to crash land. and only wherever they crash landed or whatever, the men who were on the colony ship all had a disease or something killed them all, and so there was only women on this planet, and they figured out a way to kind of, I guess through some kind of cloning or whatever, but it was like all women, and then there's like a pod that opens, it's like a dude, and it's like mecha related. Like I know there's Vandred, which is what a lot of people remember. Whereas they also played around with like similar ideas because it's like all women in that case. But man, I cannot remember the name of this OVA. Shit.
Oh.
Like this, like what you were describing, some of like the hierarchical stuff with like different genders and stuff. They played with it in that show, but I cannot, for the life of me, remember what the name of that OVA was. But no, carry on. Sorry.
Oh no, that was it. That was the recommendation. I mean, now I'm more interested in you finding out what that is.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. It was something, you know, when you're limited to what's at the video store, sometimes you just like run across when you were young and there was no internet, you'd like run across. Yeah, it was like whatever was fucking there. And this, I'm sure that when I find the series, I'll just like kick myself because it's like, oh, this is so obvious. But like, yeah, some of the stuff that you're describing is like a really common trope that then somehow got lost like over like 10 or 20 years in like mainstream stuff, and the fact that it's in a BL and there's sort of a structure to it, I think is really cool.
And it's only one volume. It's not like 30 plus fucking chapters. It's 5 chapters and an extra. That's it. So it's cute, simple, or whatever. I'm actually gonna start. I'm actually gonna start building up I'm gonna try to start building up like my physical manga collection, so I can actually like show you guys the covers and things, as opposed to just like strictly like reading it online and then being like, that was great. Nobody else probably has read it, but that was great.
Well, that's a great idea.
So that is all for this week. If you haven't already, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. But you can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. You can still follow the Facebook group and stuff like that. It's just the podcasts won't be available through that platform. But if you're watching this, we're on YouTube. Like you can see all of it. I mean, you have to see this episode because you got to see the fucking gunpla that he just showed off. Like, are you fucking kidding me? So yeah, that's all for that. Or that's all for me. Yep,
and you can hit me up anytime on Twitter at Neural Handshake. I probably should post some photographs of the full pile of shame because I've got a whole 2 bookcases full of models that
the Gunpla community will eat it up.
Yeah, I should have built a long time. I mean, I've built some of them, but certainly nowhere near enough to get the pile down. So look forward to that. But otherwise, peace out, y'all.
Yeah, peace out. Also, sorry if this is the last episode that you're listening to, but it's gonna be like 3 back to back. So you know, you got to drive somewhere. This is the end of the marathon. Okay, bye.
All right, later.